Okay, so here we are, Ducks Don't Get Cold Feet, podcast number 13. Lucky for some, unlucky for others, but I'm lucky enough to have DT here, Darren Thomas, who's the CEO of Thomas Foods International, and a mirror of other businesses along there. So, Darren, welcome.
Thanks, JP. It's quite an honour, and I think that 13 really is lucky. I'll go for the lucky for some.
Well, you're like it's Dad's favourite number. It's his house's number 13, so he's a real fan of the number 13 as well. And we're here in crazy times. Obviously, you were just looking at your phone. We're talking about COVID, so it's 2020 June, and you were looking at your phone just coming into here because the rules are changing with what trucks can come across, and with a livestock business of yourself, you must be pretty interested in what's coming across the border at the moment.
Yeah, look, it's a logistical challenge like we've never seen. People will look back at this. This is one in 100, hopefully, occurrence. But in our business, whether it's logistics here and I guess very much like your business in Australia, but globally, things have been disrupted. Shipping lines, all forms of transport are where it's probably been hardest hit. You know, the US, which is some of the most efficient logistics places you can have in the world, is just upside down. So yeah, just trying to work out, even our buying team, all of our buyers that go out to see all the farmers, we've just really had to pull into home base. And obviously just in the recent 24 hours with the lockdowns, it's even more complex. So you can't say you're bored at the moment. Each day is very different, literally.
So we were talking about, some people might not have heard of you, and as I'm sure anyone that's shopped in Drake's buying our meat would have definitely tried some of your definitely cattle.
Yep.
Do you want to give the listeners a bit of a brief of what you actually do? And you did mention you're the slave to the business. What actually is your role there? And do you want to give us where it all started?
Yeah, look, certainly I'm the CEO of the business and have been for a long time. And just to take a step forward is that I guess when I was about 27 years old and the business was starting to grow, Dad sort of said, well, we really need someone to sort of take up some of these more official roles, and it sure as hell wasn't going to be him because he's saying a recluse is too hard on him, but he's always liked to promote people within the business and the different things. So I took that role up at a very young age. I joined the company. I guess you grew up with the business, but it was a very different business for when my father started to when I started to get involved, and really Dad started back in the 80s, and even before that when he realised, I think about the age of 15, that maybe school wasn't best for him, and he decided to pursue other pathways, and he sort of ran away up north to be what's commonly known as a jackaroo. And the story is quite remarkable. He was still one of those lucky people that really knew he had the affinity for the land and farms, and that's what he wanted to be part of. So he forged his way and then came into what used to be called stock and station agents, a very famous South Australian business, Coles Brothers, where he started really like the mail boy and worked his way up to be an auctioneer. And back in those days, the service that a livestock agent would give to meat buyers, if you like, was very different, where they'd pick you up and they'd take 2 or 3 of these meat buyers from the companies and drive them around to the sales. And it was, quite a prestigious job, being involved in a company like Coles Brothers. So, but there, Dad got to meet some of the meat buyers, and there was a very dominant company, Holbrook Meat, owned by Bob Rowe and Alan Turner. So Dad got to know one of the partners, Bob, quite well. And after a few years, he said, I think Dad was in his early 20s, why don't you come and work with me? And Dad worked in the livestock side. They had this sort of meat trading. They were the South Australia's largest domestic meat wholesalers. And they had a side business called T&R Pastoral, which was Turner and Rowe.
Yep.
Back then. And Dad would work as a livestock buyer under Bob, and they'd cover the country with checkbook in their back pocket, and pretty wild times. But as it had, I think it was, you talk about disruption now with COVID and stock markets. I think it was the 87 crash, and before that, Bob and Alan decided to part ways, and I think Adelaide Steamship might have bought Holbrook Meat, which became Holco and a public entity. Yep. And it's quite interesting tie back how things come back again. But Holco was formed, and then in the 87 crash, that got broken up, and Holco owned a business was part of Metro Meat, which was Australia's largest meat company at that stage. And basically, Dad went along the ride for all these different things. And in 87, Dad and Bob decided, well, maybe we get the old TNR going again. And so Dad, Bob, and Bob's son, Simon, started a TNR pasture. It was really just a livestock trading arm. They serviced killing meatworks all around Australia. Part of the success was a low overhead, office of about 10 people.
Yep.
Really, the country, the whole of Australia was their paddock, and they'd travel around buying livestock, trading them, blind punting them, modern day Robin Hoods, if you like. And that's how it all started. And they vowed and declared they'd never, ever own meatworks. It's changed now, yeah.
I've got a mate that was a jackaroo, Mr. Wicker, and I think jackaroos, they're pretty tough people. And they seem to have a great sense of self-notoriety. They actually know a lot about themselves. Have you noticed that with your dad? Did you do any jackarooing by any chance?
Look, I was fortunate to, I say, have the best of both worlds. So whilst born in the city in a drover's hut, I got to experience most of my school holidays were out on cattle station somewhere. My sister and myself up to Alice Springs for the school holidays. Or chasing behind Dad at markets, going to farms in the southeast. So whilst Adelaide was home, and the reason for that, being a livestock buyer, there's no one part of Australia that there's just 12 months. You follow the seasons, the cattle, where things were flowing, or the sheep. So I consider myself lucky. I had sort of a Monday to Friday upbringing with family here and schooling here, but weekends and school holidays were bush, which was a great balance. So I really enjoyed that, and still to this day, it's one of my passions, getting out the country and visiting the farms.
So you're not much of a horse rider?
Well, recently it was. I used to be terribly allergic to them, to be honest. And then some years ago, I had to take a group of about 100 people for a cattle drive up on the Birdsville track, and I suddenly thought to myself, well, if we're going to do a cattle drive, I better sort of try and work out how to ride. So that was quite funny. That would be over a decade ago, and my daughter was just starting to ride. So off I went to Pony Club with her. There's this 35-year-old guy with all these young 8 and 10-year-old girls. But I did the whole lot. I had my little pink grooming kit and the whole lot. So, but I love animals. I love horses, and still to this day, I get to go for a bit of a ride when I can. But
were you close to your did you have a grandfather? Did he start something and then your dad came into that as well?
No, Dad, as I said, Dad left. Dad, on my father's side, had a business called Thomas Tours, which was sort of ran a lot of the buses south of Adelaide before the State Transport Authority was. So Grandma and Grandpa came from Broken Hill and Grandma over towards Wangaratta. And then there's the mum side of my family. She was an only child. And she came from Waikerie. So we know a lot of the, Rachudos and a lot of the some of my old footy mates from the Riverlands. So she was a Riverland. So I was lucky. And both the grandparent sides of the family really took an interest in myself and my sister as kids. And, they've now since passed away. But Dad was really as I said, he was really someone that knew what he wanted to do. He had a passion, and not forgetting Mum. I mean, Mum went through all sorts of things in the early days, and these livestock buyers are pretty wild and travelling away for 6 and 8 weeks, and she did an amazing job raising my sister and myself in his absence.
At least you can fly in and fly out. Not back in the old days. It's a little bit different.
It's just kilometres. As I said, school holidays, we'd leave Adelaide, you'd be in Alice Springs, you'd drive to Katherine, Broome, Derby, spent a lot of time in the top end, which for kids was great. That was our holidays. It wasn't Noosa or overseas, or, we would have loved to have done it, I'm sure, but pretty much they were working holidays for us, and, we loved every minute.
It's fair to say that Craig has a really good relationship with my old man. And I'm assuming they don't know each other too well, but they seem to have something very similar in common, very similar ways they look at life, non-flashy people, always under the radar.
Spot on.
And they've built businesses that are so big. It's like I said to Dad, it's a little bit hard to be under the radar when you've built what you have.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, Chris has always been a fantastic support to me in terms of being able to just let me be my own person, but also give me plenty of guidance along the way. And I see it as well with your father. They're understated people, under the radar, fiercely passionate, lead by example, and that element of modesty and conservatism, I think, particularly see characterised in a lot of good family businesses is paramount. And that goes down through our staff. And as I said, in the early days at 27, when we bought Murray Bridge and I was 26, and Dad said, well, now we've got to meet West. We're going to need someone to see a bit more of and it wasn't so much that he wouldn't have done it, because still today, if he really believes in us, he'd be first up to speak or be alongside of you. But he preferred for me to do a lot of those, at times, annoying tasks, but they're important. As the business was growing a profile, it did need
someone to talk about it.
Yeah. So
that's pretty much similar to what I think Mileman's doing at the moment as well. It's like I like the talking part.
Yeah,
we've been doing this our whole lives.
Yep.
So it's not like we need to sit there and make stories up. It's very easy to talk about when that's what you do.
Correct.
And we talked about some of the things when we built the warehouse about being open, honest, transparent, and making sure that we're making customer-led decisions.
Absolutely.
You have a slogan. I don't know if it's a slogan, but you talk about putting food. I'm trying to find it here. You talk about
feeding fams globally.
Feeding families globally. Yeah. Like that's when I read that in a book when we were at your office one day. I was like, oh, that's actually really insightful, actually really impressive to come up with something that's so global. Because you are probably Australia's biggest livestock player.
Certainly, we're Australia's largest family-owned meat processor. Definitely a couple of foreigners that might be bigger than us, but that's about it.
But you've taken your business global. So who actually came up with that?
Well, that was with that being saying it was all me. What it was is definitely a big team thing, and a person like Frank Piccaro, who my dad plucked out of the Jeps Cross or Abattoir at the age of 18 and said, right, you're going to be our marketing manager, export. What Dad and Frank did in the early days were incredible pioneering markets. And I guess, some of the dreams and things. And, I also learned a lot from Frank growing up underneath him. I'd be tagging along on overseas trips. So you saw more and more and understood more and more of our customers and supply chains. And I guess dealing with those customers in the most direct fashion allowed us. So we really partnered with major importers, and that then went into business relationships. And really, at the end of the day, what it is been about servicing our customers in the best way, giving them the highest quality product at the best price we can. And that was something that I had a dream about. And slowly it's taken 15, 20 years and countless numbers of flights. I couldn't even begin to remember, but it is a team effort, and everyone's got on board with that vision and supported at the end of the day by Chris.
So you having to fly all over the world, you're not flying at the moment.
It's fantastic.
So how does it actually feel to, I'm saying reconnect maybe with your partner or your children? Yeah. Was that be too far to say? Or?
No, it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. And it's playing on my mind a bit when life does return to normal, because you do miss and sacrifice. I've missed birthdays, football, grand final. There's a lot of things. I don't care what anyone says. To get anywhere in life, you make sacrifices, and they can be on all different levels. And a lot of mine tend to be I'm a long, long way away, missing out on friends, weddings, different things. I'm not saying I've got a bad life, but you do have to make sacrifices. So I really enjoyed being home with the family. And, part of the reason I do so many flights is I'd get back for a footy game to leave again on the Sunday. Now, there's a bit of an extra cost to that, no doubt, but balance that with a stable home life and actually seeing my kids, it's a pretty easy decision. And I think that way you've got a better outcome anyway. You work hard and drive hard. You might go overseas for a night or two, but that's, again, some of that is just and we've all seen we can go on Teams and Zoom and the modern world. That's been around forever. You never replace that face-to-face interaction. Whilst meetings I think some of your internal meetings domestically might change. I won't duck up to Sydney just for the night. I can do it in a different way. That's forced us. But still, those face-to-face relationships are really still critical and important part of it.
And they talk about, a sacrifice. And as a kid, I think my relationship with my dad now is far better now than it ever was when I was a kid, where Dad was always working, and they didn't even work bloody Saturdays back then or Sundays. But the relationship back then was work, and I think you blink and it's gone. And being fortunate enough I've made calls to make sure that I'm trying to do probably not what my dad did in that way, but what do you do? I mean, you can't have everything. No. You can't. I don't think you could be sitting at home and having this global business and expect it just to run.
And that's why it's important. I mean, I've tried there. I try and coach teams, right? Can you try? It is a big, it's not a burden on you, but it takes up a lot of your time. But, and society's changed and kids understand, and there's technology, and you can, I didn't see a lot of them, 0 to 10. I didn't see a lot of them. First day at school and other sort of sacrifice, but it's important to work on those relationships with your kids. And as they get older, they understand it. And then, but when you've got that time, you go for a surf and try and spend the time. So it might have been, if it going down to the pub with your mates or something, well, that's sort of one thing that's had to be put on the shelf for the moment. But, and then all of a sudden as they get older, and, my oldest is 19 now, they become like your best mate, and then they're friends with your friends. So it's a cycle, but it is different to when we were growing up. Like you said, my dad was away sometimes up in the territory for 6 to 8 weeks at a time, and you wouldn't see them. That was the sacrifice they made, and we wouldn't be here today without those sacrifices my mum and dad made for us.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. I'm going to break it up. Barbecuing. Right. I don't know what's happened, but I'm pretty proud of my beef. I'm pretty proud of we've got a Angus Pure grass-fed beast, and I think it's one of the best quality meat products in the world. And people say, it might be a bit biased. I am a little bit biased. So you might want to talk me out of this, but that product is, you can cut it, you knead it with the bulk, you get rid of the little bit of the, I don't know what it's called,
some of the sinew or some of the silver skin.
So get rid of that, and then cut nice, 1.5-inch steaks, and they're small, I fillet. I'll say to anyone that anyone is listening, that is the best product you'll get in any restaurant anywhere in the world, to the stage where Dad thinks he's the best steak cook on the planet. And I said to Dad, it's the product, mate. It's not the cook.
It's always the product.
But what's your interpretation on that product? That product? I think that is your product.
It is. It's something, again, if I go back to Frank Bacara and myself, saying that we've championed, and even when I was a young livestock buyer. But there is. So I speak this with a bit of knowledge about it, I guess. But and I'm not biased when I say it's the best eating product. It's a different flavour. Now, surprisingly, it's not for everyone, but the trend we're seeing globally, I'll give you a really good example, was selling grass-fed beef to the US. It's like trying to sell sand to the Saudis, okay? You've got this wonderful beef product, and the beef eaters almost of the world. But a lot of theirs is corn-fed, and they used to grass-fed being something, an old cow or cheap or nasty, and it hasn't got a great reputation. Well, we started...
How's that be? Like, grass is what's on the ground. It wasn't corn.
This is the interesting thing, because there's grass, and even in Australia, and not to start state wars. We're having enough of them at the moment. But, the protein, what we have here, if we can be parochial for a second, in South Australia and then Southeast, is what we've got, this competitive advantage. What God gave us is the amazing pastures full of high protein, higher rainfall, and not too dissimilar to the western districts of Victoria or the Gippsland, parts of southwestern. So you almost don't need a market, because it is natural. It's not a slogan or a word. So you've got, and the farmers over the last 20 or 30 years, the work they've done genetically with the animals, to ensure the way the animal husbandry, the way the animals are treated, the way the animals are harvested and processed. It's, you guarantee this eating quality, but the cleanliness, and it really is no antibiotics, no hormones. It sounds like a marketer's dream, but it's just actually pretty easy. It is, it's the product. And to sell that, and we started a program over a decade ago in the US, and you're trying to convince, corn-fed people, and it's amazing. We did blind tests with some of the oldest meat cutters in the game, right? And time and time again, they picked the Angus Pure, and they were horrified to realise it wasn't American corn-fed beef. But we've seen that around the world. In Asia, which have been typically grain-fed or Wagyu and all these different sorts of things, big Korea. But this real understanding of the younger generation, the health benefits of lean beef and protein.
It's becoming a bad thing, but I've been rocking up bringing my own meat. Like, I'm so proud of our meat that if people got a barbecue, I don't want your shit meat from...
I know the feeling.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But do you do this?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's more, not to undermine you when you're talking about cooking to the point where I'll probably, if I'm at someone's house, I'll cook the barbecue because I've been there before. Some of good mate of mine, Simon Brown, I brought up this beautiful cube roll or Scotch fillet, and away went out. And these things, they looked like this table. They were singed. It was like Ash Wednesday. So whilst you can have the best product or the best lamb, but you can ruin it by cooking. And that's one of the things today that I'm excited about is whether it's the cooking shows, but people, and you see now in some of these situations with lockdown, the big shift to online, which was already happening, but people cooking at home now. And these are the things, because there's a generation there where, fast food and things sort of really evolve. Well, replace that now with convenience, probably more so than fast food. People are wanting to cook, but they don't have the time to go and spend 2 or 3 hours to cook the Sunday roast. But if you can give them that same eating experience, but in a more convenient, timely fashion, I think you're on a winner. And that's where I see a lot of the trends moving.
So I had the grass-fed Angus Pure. I bought a bulk pack eye fillet, which you had to bring a dish for yourself. And I got there first. So I said, what's everyone bringing? No one knows. And then I also grabbed a couple of packets of the Wagyu it was Wagyu eye fillet as well. So eye fillet for eye fillet, one Wagyu, one at I think $70 a kilo.
Yeah.
And one at $40 a kilo. So the grass-fed 40. The Wagyu, I'm pretty sure it's not.
No, we probably would have sourced it.
Yep. But so I went, all right. So I opened the pack, let it bloom a little bit. So I'm just giving my secrets out here. I kneaded the grass-fed, got the nice cuts, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, right? Not too much, just a bit. People started coming, I'll cook. I got it. So ended up, we did the grass-fed first, a medium. Some people like it dripping. I mean, I like a medium, or it was probably a rare medium.
Yeah.
But we sliced it up in little bits and then went around about 20 people and said, and everyone's like, fuck, it's amazing. It was amazing. Like it was like, I just nailed it. I was so impressed with myself, right? And I was like, all right. So then we went through the whole bulk. So that was 8 steaks. And I said, you got to wait because I'm going to do the Wagyu next. So I did the Wagyu next. And everyone there was way more impressed with the grass-fed Angus Pure. And I'm not only saying that because you're here. You could ask anyone there. And they were way more impressed. And then the thing that blew them away is that you buy that, you sell that. That's from a supermarket. And I said, yes, we sell that. That's our product. It's that good.
Yep. Yeah. It is, as I said, it doesn't need much. If you can get it into someone's mouth, right? That's a big, once that you've got them, because the consistency, and as I said earlier, there's a lot that goes behind it. It just doesn't happen. There's a lot of things that can bring it undone. Do you want to tell us a bit about, I'm assuming you know how we're getting to that final stage. What's some of the background for little mere mortals like me to understand? Like, how does it get to that stage where you almost can't fuck it up? Well, apart from overcooking it,
other than brownie overcooking it.
Yeah, exactly. It starts with the farmers. It really does. Go right back. Okay, you got the land, and it doesn't have to always be the lush pastures of the southeast, but it's about keeping these animals on a constant growth phase. It's the investment by the farmers in genetics. It's the vastly improved animal husbandry. The way they take it very, very quiet. It's not racing around on motorbikes. You throw in the professionalism of the logistics, the transport operators, what they do today and how they manage livestock to how they did even a decade ago is very different. So obviously there's an expectation in the community, even stronger than it has been before about animal welfare. So when the animals arrive at the plants, how they're treated, everything in the process. As
We
you
got
move,
Mozart playing there or something.
not quite like that. I think that might be going a bit far, but that might be a bit off-putting.
Maybe at the new plant.
Possibly. But there's we've used the services of some of the leading animal husbandry type people, and it does mean. And then there's all the technology after that, and the stimulation methods, and chilling, freezing. We're lucky. We're probably not as lucky in Australia because we tend to process our meat and eat it within a week or two. A lot of our product is exported, so cryovac chilled.
How much product that you kill stays here in Australia?
Yeah, traditionally our business has been skewed 80-20, sort of 80% export. And that's just because Australia's a small country, and that's it. Not that the want for any other reason, as we've been a net exporter. So, and that's our domestic business is sort of growing. As Australia, you've seen a shift and a growth in our consumption. I think for the first time, you've actually started to see the traditional proteins, which have been on a decline for many years, start to go back up again. I mean, we've seen, chicken's obviously been the one that's been ultra competitive but certainly red meat, we're just starting to see that change for the first time in many decades. So that's encouraging. I think that is. And there's so much you can do. I mean, you've talked about eye fillet, it's but one cut, or the advent of slow cooking, some of the briskets and smoking, and it's a worldwide phenomenon. So that's driven, a keen interest. Some of the cuts people wouldn't talk about. Now we're eating
brisket.
Yeah.
Like we now have a minced brisket.
Yep.
We have obviously brisket. We've got our slow cooked range, and I believe we're the only supermarket. I'll go as far to say we're the only supermarket chain with a slow cooked range specifically. I think there's 14 cuts there from brisket to pork, pork squares, pork bites. Who would have thought? And with your product, when you're talking about some of the science, it goes back to the farmer.
Yeah, well, you think
it goes back to the land.
Absolutely, it starts and stops there really because all that, and even with us, we're just but the person in the middle. We can undo all that, but the technology we got now, the science and understanding how we go through the processes in our plants. You've got that, what I was going to, when it's cryovac, so obviously all the air's taken out, you've got up to sort of 180 days shelf life. Okay. If it's set in constant, nice, cool, like maybe not in your refrigerator, but you've got 3 or 4 months, but you've got what they call wet aging. So we've all probably heard of the terminology of dry age. Yep. This is wet age where it's sort of still, it's not exposed to any air. And once you open that up, it's incredible. So I see it myself when I'm eating our products, whether it's our beef or lamb. There is a difference between eating here, and it only gets better when you eat it overseas and it's had that 20 to 40 days on a boat and through logistics, and it's only a greater experience again. So a little bit of age, and that's some of the things I think our industry needs to do is educate, not just how to cook it, but just the understanding. Hey, because a lot of people buy, even if it's cryovac, will buy it from a supermarket and they just go throw it in the freezer. Yeah. Them understanding, hey, it can sit, as long as it just, sits in at some constant temperature now, and a fridge will open up and million times a day. So, you'd expect a shorter shelf life, but leaving it there, 30, 40 days
in the cryovac pack
is going to give you a greater eating experience again.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I assume with dry aging, it makes sense. Like
it does. It's the enzymes are breaking out. It's a natural it's a safe way.
Well, I mean, you go back in the old days, well, they didn't have any refrigeration.
No, that salt, Hessian bag.
Did you see any stuff like that? You're too young.
I'm definitely way too young for that. But the whole dry aging thing has become dry age cabinets for whole quarters of beef or a carcass of lamb. To be honest, dry age is not necessarily my favourite thing. It's got a different flavour, as do that. You'll see, again, Japan, you'll see they've got very interesting sense of taste and smell. That's why they like some of the grain-fed and, barley-fed beef. They can really taste the difference between a grass-fed or corn-fed. And personally, I love a corn-fed steak, but just in a bit of moderation. Wagyu, again, just in moderation. It's too rich for me, but that's just me. Everyone's got their own thing, but still the grass-fed side of things, again, to me is it's just a natural product. It's probably as close as you can get to just an all-natural product.
So I don't recommending everyone to do it because we want you to buy meat weekly, but you're saying buy it. For laws and reasons, obviously we have to put a best before date on it.
Yep.
And that's because we have to. But the reality is now that a lot of the product is cryovac.
Yep.
So there's no air in it. It's that they're the packs that are solid if people don't know what they are. It's a little bit different than the old overwrap.
Yeah, it is.
Because the overwrap product definitely, you have to eat within a certain period of time.
Yep.
But I never realised there's a wet aging.
Yeah, and you'll see, I guess the more modern iteration that's been some of the skin pack that we've seen. You've got thermoform, which is like a form of, again.
So a thermoform bottom and the product you put on top and it sucks it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's still flexible.
Yep.
You've got MAP with modified atmospheric packaging where you've got a sort of generally a solid tray and a bit of a film. So the next step on, I guess, from the old traditional overwrap. And then you've got now skin pack where you might have a rigid base and it's sucked down tight. Looks like cryovacking, but it's not quite. And now on that product, instead of having 7-day shelf life on a overwrap steak on a plate, you can get sort of 30 days. But again, with the cryovac stuff, people get into a routine. Yeah, they'll still need to buy it, but you can sort of say, right, it's probably better for whole muscle cuts, but then there's some, different things that you can do. It's again, that convenience, right? I know I can have it in there. I can rip it out. So people tend to, if you want to get commercial, they'll tend to overbuy it because they'll actually trust, I'll buy 3 or 4 packs rather than just buying one.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any detrimental. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I think people understand the food safety and the hygiene. As we educate people better, they'll see it's a safer, because food safety is huge these days. It's numero uno by a long way.
I think that's the same for all businesses when you start to talk about that. You mentioned a little bit about barbecuing. I was telling my story where I want to bring my meat. I'm assuming you're doing that. You actually even want to cook it. So I'm prepared to let someone take that punishment. We sit there and talk about what the smoking barbecuing scene has done through America and as well as TV shows. Australia is really growing at a rapid rate. Do you see that with where your products are going? So do they have a big slow cook scene in Asia, in the Saudis, or is it predominantly US?
No, look, obviously the US can probably claim the home of the smoker, I guess, if you like. But just in general speaking, you're seeing a worldwide interest in cooking again. No doubt through the shows, but there's the different forms that you can do and what you can present for consumers. Again, protein's not getting any cheaper apart from probably chicken and some farmed manufactured proteins, which again probably carry a different connotation where the consumer's a little bit more wary of them. Protein's getting more expensive around the world. You're seeing some of the developing economies getting richer so they can actually afford it. So, and it's just offering the different cuts. One that I like to use is the old lamb shank. Used to be throw the lamb shanks at dogs. Well, I don't know, what are they now? $14, $15 a kilo or something. I don't see too many pal at that level, but now
with the lamb shank pal,
it's just the slow cooking lamb shanks. They're throwing the red wine. It's a whole experience, and that's what food does. It brings, and if you think about the 60s, and I wasn't around then, but the family Sunday roast, the leg of lamb and those sorts of things, bringing families together. And that's what food has amazing. I'm passionate about food. Forget what I do. Yeah. I love cooking. Talk to Michelle. She's not so okay with cooking. Then that's the
same with me.
I just have that general, you sit there and I'll be taking photos and this and again, we're blessed in South Australia. You've got the seafood, the prawns, the crayfish and calamari and a steak. You talk about the surf and turf we can do here in South Australia, but I just love that sort of thing, creating that muscle. And I think it comes down my grandfather, Dad's dad, was always a very, very keen cook, and even my uncle Andy. But they were the sort of people that could look at something in in I think back then it was like the Woman's Day or something, and they just recreate it. You know, here out comes the glazed ham. It just looks exactly like it's out of a book.
Really?
Incredible.
Was it the guys doing this?
Yeah, my grandfather and my uncle in particular were. They'll make anything. So we love our fishing, and the King George whiting. We'll make fish tacos and all with salsas. And so it might be the Darren Thomas line or something.
I was going to say.
As this penchant for cooking. But I don't know, time out creating things. And you got wonderful produce here in Australia and in particular South Australia.
Yeah, I keep banging on how good our produce is here and how fortunate enough we are. And you're explaining it with the land, cooking. I mean, we obviously love food and I guess in the supermarket game, it's fortunate I like food.
Yeah.
You've obviously expanded to more than just what you've got. It's actually the love to. It's not only the food that goes on the table; it's the experience that you have with whoever's with you.
Going back to what you said, you know, our purpose, and we've got, you know, feeding families globally, and that's ultimately what we exist for. You know, this and all parts of that. Process, right from the primary producers, the farmers. Let's face it, without them, we don't have a business to start off with, right? Yep. So they're an incredibly important part of our business and the relationships over many decades that we've got with our suppliers. I mean, going back to Angus Pure, you know, we've probably got to get a few of these regular suppliers to come and meet and see where it all ends up, because they are really passionate about what they do. And the younger generation, your younger customers are incredibly aware of where their food's coming, the environmental footprint and what's happening there. And then so are the younger farmers. You know, they really want to make sure that what's happening, they're interested. It's just not a matter of growing these animals and then shipping it off and that's the end of it. So even in my short time, that's the big change I've seen, and people really want to understand a lot more about their product.
Are you finding that the younger generations coming through, are they becoming...
Does that include us? Are we still young? We're still young?
I fucking hope we're still young. Are they sitting there coming through? Are they using so I was speaking to some viticulturists, is that right? And they were talking how they use nanosat through Fleet, which is Flavia.
Yeah.
And that technology lets them know if they've got a leaking pipe or something like that from the air because there's not enough moisture.
Yep.
And that's just smart, isn't it?
That's, I mean, the agri-tech sector in particular, I mean, we all know of all the tech advancements in some of the mainstream business. But again, I spoke just recently, South Australia convened a, tech conference here. And AgTech, the opportunities that's got for Australia and the primary is amazing. You know, your example then, geofencing. My actually daughter's doing her personal project this year in year 11 on virtual fencing, where there's no fences, so there's no capital cost. These animals, they wear a collar that gives them like a buzz or something. You're going out of your allotted area. But, New Zealand's led a lot of the way as well, and looking at measuring. So there's environmental benefits, not overgrazing or overstocking areas. So there's commercial sides, but there's environmental benefits. I mean, some of the stuff is just, it's real. It's not Dick Tracy stuff happening.
Yeah.
Next year.
It's real.
And that's going to help us as a country be more productive.
Less waste.
Yeah, less waste. Australian farmers, I mean, let's face it, there's very little subsidies. They might get a little bit of help with tax and apportionment, but that's only if you're making money. And, we compete against other countries that are heavily subsidized. Yep. So, our farmers, and they've proven it, they're very over in history, the way they've been very, inventive with a lot of the things. But where AgTech's going to go in the next decade, I think it's going to be one of the hottest investment spaces, for capital coming up.
And I got a hunch we're on the front foot.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
I don't like banging on about South Australia all the time, but I do. But we appear to be right on the front foot. We're talking about the Space Centre, which gives us the ability to put rockets, which gives us the ability to have nanotech, which is all happening here in South Australia.
Yeah. So, exactly. Well, look, I'm a passionate Australian. Live in South Australia, but South Australia's DNA is a lot of firsts. We're here. Whether it's from a social standpoint, but in agriculture, naturally we've been from the stump jump plough to so many different things. I was doing a project for government a decade ago or so, and and when I really researched, there's some really proud things South Australia's done. So not to say that we're I'll give you an example. We've got great beaches. So is Sydney, so is Queensland, but maybe in South, it's a proximity to the beaches, right? You can still live in the city and be there in 10 minutes. Sydney and Melbourne might not be like that, right?
So 2.5 hours from the city.
And that's when you live in this block away, right? So it's just the way it is. And so South Australia naturally has had this innovative, it's a challenger brand, never bigger, always smarter sort of thing. So I think that's something that as a state, in particular in our agriculture sector, we've had from the day dot.
So it does bring it all together. Which do you see many generations coming through with farming? So do you see the younger crew taking over? Are you seeing that?
Well, we're starting to see that. So Dad and I are passionate about farming, and we've got a few farms ourselves. And I guess the only reason we're able to buy some of those farms is because the younger generation didn't want to go. And some of these things have been in a families only one or two they've only changed hands one or two times.
Yeah. It's probably early 1900s or something.
Yeah, but pleasingly, you're starting to see young people come out. One of my greatest, I guess, fears or challenges, how does a young Chris Thomas who loves the land, how does he go and get capital, go and say, I want to be a farmer?
Yeah.
Right. It's very, very hard. So this is where I'd like to see in the future, whether it's governments leveraging their balance sheets, super funds. Yep, super funds will invest for super funds, but what about giving young people a go? So if you're born in the city and you want to be a farmer, it's going to be near on impossible. So, but as returns have got better for farmers in the last decade, you're starting to see people stay on the land. They're getting better they're going away for education, but coming back home, which is great. And so that's giving me heart, because as I said, without farmers, we don't have a business. So I've definitely seen a trend in the last, under 10 years of younger people staying on the farm, which is great, which is really encouraging.
And let's face it, farmer wants a wife.
Wow.
Good
New
looking
series
guys.
coming up now.
Yeah, good looking guys on farms, and check out the chicks they're bringing to them as well.
Yeah.
All they got to do is apply.
That's it.
So things are looking up for the farmers, and it's a tough business. There's no doubt that. I think you can almost underestimate how much they're actually doing for our economy and our own selves. We're not importing too much unless it's the cheap shit. Which, can I say that? Yeah, I did. Unless it's we have it here. Spencer Gulf prawns, our product here, Moreton Bay bugs, obviously not South Australia, but oh my God. So all of this is here, and we need to be very protective of it and very protective of our farmers. And we've just had recently, we've had bushfires, but just before that was droughts. Farmers cop it the whole time.
They do. They look at any primary production. By its very nature of the word, you're at the start. And as I said, I think I qualified to do spend a bit of time looking around the world, and our farmers have very little subsidies, and they've got some significant barriers when we look at some of the markets in terms of tariffs and it. Now, I think governments over successive governments over time, we're starting to get free trade agreements, but they take time.
Yeah.
They really, but the farmers we know in Australia, we're the driest continent in the world. So just as one drought breaks, it's the start of another one.
Yep.
So, but their resilience, and that's the sort of thing we need to get behind them. And I think in this pandemic, if you call it, that we're living in today, people are actually starting to feel a little bit of a bit of compassion or sovereignty now. Like, hey, we better make sure that we can look after, because we're lucky. We've always just turned up. There's been food on our table. A lot of other countries aren't self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Australia is, and we need to protect that. Without farmers, we won't have that.
Yeah, and that's. Look, I actually haven't looked at it.
And can I tell you, farmers don't want handouts either, right? I don't want, there's a misconception out there at times. A lot of farmers, like in any industry, there's good and bad, let's be honest. And those really proficient farmers are planning for that next drought. So that, the old saying, making hay while the sun shines, they're preparing, and that's some of the things. But, they do an incredible job. And it's good to just start to see what we'll see. The city, it's just starting to acknowledge that, I think, in a time like now. we're sitting okay. There might be a bit of panic buying, which I'm sure that you're loving.
Definitely not complaining. And we're one of the lucky ones. We got food.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We got food. Okay, we might not have it here today, but we'll have it for you tomorrow. Now, there's countries around the world that don't have that. If it's gone today, it's not here for another 2 weeks. So, the farmers have been able to really support our country in a time of need.
So we've just had a question come through. I put a post on Instagram. Any questions for DT?
Right, great.
How has COVID impacted meat production?
Well, in Australia, we've been lucky. I think if you have a look at, we've been very lucky that we haven't seen mass infections in any sort of manufacturing environment. There was a bit of a problem in Victoria a month or so ago, and then just recently. But if I speak from our US, so we've got a plant in Philadelphia and Swedesboro, New Jersey, just out of Philly, and we're in a hot spot there back in, March. And obviously with supermarket shelves panic buying, we had to work 2 shifts, 7 days a week.
Yep.
And trying to keep people healthy was a real challenge. So just that, protection. People were generally scared, like every night. 8:30 on the dot, my CEO rings from the US, and I can recount numerous times. You can hear in his voice, while he and our team did an outstanding job, there's people coming from very modest backgrounds that were genuinely scared. So we did everything we can. And but certainly it's a challenge. Is we have to make sure we've got today here, there's temperature cameras everywhere, whether it's in the office, the plants, there's the appropriate social distancing that you need to slow production. PPE. Now, luckily, we're used to all these sorts of things, being in food and food safety. So this is a natural extension of what we already do because we're dealing with people's food. So it's incredibly important. So I just hope, because, any meat company, we've seen it in South American and US parts that have been stopped because it's been anywhere where you've got people in close contact. So I certainly wouldn't, if a meat business happened to get a small cluster and an outburst, it would be very unfortunate, but it wouldn't be, in most instances, they'd be trying to do the right thing. But this virus, as we're seeing, is changing all the time and trying to keep a track on the asymptomatic part of it. I went to the US twice when it all started.
Hang on, if we tested you.
Yeah, I'm fine. I get tested daily, almost. But I arrived in the US on the 24th of January, just as it was taking off in China, in between 2 flights arriving from Shanghai. And then later on the 8th of March when I was there, when it was really starting to take off. So I've seen it firsthand through all our businesses and how it's affected people. And it shouldn't be, whilst we don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, we do need to take it seriously. But if we listen to the medical advice and we do all the appropriate things, I'm sure we can manage through it.
Well, that's what we were trying to do, that rather than listen to the media. It was listen to the people actually involved.
Yeah.
Because originally, if you listen to the media, you would have thought that you catch COVID, you die.
Yeah.
And I think Australia jumped on it. And I'll give Marshall credit, fully jumped on it really quick. Yep. And maybe we're just a lot brighter here in South Australia than in Victoria.
I was going back to those firsts, but no. Look, I think
we instantly made, your social distancing, and, everyone was very aware very quick. And I think that put us in the right position to where we're in currently.
Yeah.
Might eat my words, but it's that? It's July 2020, so we'll see how we.
Look, there's lots of roads we don't know where this is going to go, and I think really it was leadership from the top. If you look at what the Prime Minister and his team you've got to make decisions. They don't have the option. It's all very well for us here to discuss things in hindsight, but they had to make decisions back in early March. And that's what they did. They took the advice. None of, and it's very easy for us to throw stones at the politicians and the leaders, whether it's Daniel Andrews or Anastasia or Stephen Marshall. They have to make decisions, and they're trying to make the decisions in the best thing. Now, everyone's been impacted. Our business has been impacted in a positive and negative way. Our food service business dropped 80% overnight. You think of all of our customers that are closed, and I really feel for them, particularly the people in Victoria. But I think Australia as a whole was showing great leadership, and that's why it's really important in the current, we've been through this once before. It's really important that we heed our lessons from the past 3 or 4 months to ensure that I know we will get back on top of it again.
So you obviously exporting live animals. I'm assuming, do you export live?
No, we don't. We don't.
What's your interpretation?
So again,
on live export.
Well, that industry's come a long way too. So I have, whether it's live export, processing animals, animal welfare is number one in my eyes, regardless. So it's really important. Now, some of the things that we've seen in the past that have been highlighted are just atrocious. And I refer back to an incident covered on 60 Minutes. I didn't even watch it. Still to this day, I've never watched it. I couldn't handle and understand working with animals all my life. Now, we can say, well, look, that's happened overseas and, we're not, but we are. We have a choice to make. So I think live export under certain conditions can coexist. If you look at the northern part of Australia, when you've got like-for-like climates, very short transit times, I think it can work. But looking at, sheep that are harder to self-regulate their temperature, we've got some moratoriums now, which I think is a step in the right direction. We're not taking animals out of winter into very hot temperatures, but especially, cattle, British-bred cattle, again, unlike the Bos Indicus, which can sweat, regulate their temperature, you've got British-bred cattle coming out of cold areas into humid. Humidity is as much of a problem than dry heat, To be honest, humidity can certainly be a big thing. So I'm probably not a major fan. I understand it. And everyone has a right to conduct a business. And we over the years had been involved in live export. But what you know now, and I think the industry has made tremendous leaps and bounds in trying to self-regulate. There's not a live export out there, believe me, that wants to do the wrong thing. In any industry, any part of a sector, you're always going to get rogues. But by the reputable companies, I think do a very, very good job. And the Northern Territory and Western Australian and Queensland cattle people, it's a big part of their market. And it's saved a lot of that country. What it's generated and the wealth it's generated. Because certainly, I think there's, like my dad could tell you more, there's a dozen meatworks that closed and it gave them another option and market. And certainly it's a big one for them. But we cannot and must not wane on animal welfare, and that's just not live export either. Yeah,
and you're very passionate about animal welfare.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even last time I spoke to you, you could even name all of the cattle that you had, kind of.
Just about.
So I guess this is a question everyone wants to know: is are you a vegan?
I'm not a vegan, but I tell you what, I'm not an environmentalist either, but I do care and respect from where my food and the land that it comes from. So, and I do get asked this question a bit. So, look, I believe people have got entitled in the modern world to their beliefs. I mean, it's been around forever and a day. So, if someone wants to be a vegan, someone wants to be a vegetarian, someone wants to be pescatarian, whatever,
or that's carnivore.
Their thing. Carnivore. It's really a personal choice. It's not for me or anyone, I believe, to be able to impose, you must be this, you must be that. And I think whether it's you're a carnivore or a vegan, sometimes people do tend to impose those views. It's quite fine, like religions. Everyone's got different religions. I think it's a personal choice, and it's not really for anyone to impose their big part of my business.
Yeah.
But my personal values are that you don't go and impose those things. I think that's a personal choice.
Yeah, I mean, I jokingly say, a vegan because they tell you.
Yeah.
But you're right. You should be entitled to do whatever you want.
I've got really dear friends that are vegetarians or vegans, and, you respect those things. And what you can do is have what I feel I can do is have an informed conversation or about some of the things that they may have heard that may not be true or what. And equally, I got one particular vegan friend who can I see balance in that, and I understand. Sometimes it's a personal, sometimes it might be a health reason, or so there can be many reasons. So, like anything, you've got the extremes on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I've cut down. Have you ever been attacked by a vegan?
No, I haven't been attacked by one. But I've seen, as I said, extremism in a number of things. And, I've seen some easy targets being attacked by minority groups at times. Yeah. And I just don't like that, because I think everyone's entitled to opinion. But, when you're hitting off easy targets, I don't think that does anyone any good.
Yeah, obviously in art, we've seen a couple of easy targets. People, animal activists walking into, other supermarket chains, and, it's maybe a bit confronting for people, and I don't believe that's the right environment to be doing that.
No.
And I just wondered. I thought you might get it a bit.
Oh, look, we get lots of questions and lots of different things, and that's fine. I take them sincerely.
Yeah.
And I respect their views. And see, the ultimate thing is we can all have our views, but we all have to abide by the law. Okay, really, what your view is or outlook on life is your personal thing, but there's a set of laws. We elect people. We're lucky we live in a democratic country, and those people are meant to represent us and create laws that we all should abide by, regardless of our views.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always taken. So when we're seeing some of the activism, and don't worry, I've seen people on the other side of the fence act inappropriately as well. We've seen some horrific things where people have done the wrong things, but we all, we want to have a democratic society, so we should abide by the law.
So if we talk about a major trend at the moment, it's definitely plant-based foods, plant-based diets. Like, there's a never-ending list of how that's moving forward. As in a supermarket, we're seeing definitely some trend to plant-based foods.
Absolutely.
I'm a flexitarian.
Yeah.
So I try to do 3 vegetarian meals, like days a week.
Yep.
That's what I've been doing that since I had a podcast with James Newbury.
Yeah.
And I do feel better. So this is just my point of view. So why do you do it? Oh, okay. I just thought, I was eating meat, I would say 3 times a day, like breakfast, lunch and dinner, and literally 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you need to do that? It's like, do you need to drink 5 coffees a day? So I go through these processes, and I went, no, I don't. So I've gone plant-based for a couple of times, and I make a conscious decision. Yep. Do you have any businesses that are involved around plant-based?
So we've got a couple of ranges. You touched on flexitarian. So we have ranges which are a combination of less meat and vegetable.
Yep.
And then we've also got when we look at pure plant-based products. So we've partnered with and I think Drake's might be one of the lucky people to see this offering shortly, but with a company based in the Netherlands, where one of our businesses is called The Blue Butcher. Okay. And it's fantastic. It's all plant-based, and hands down, bar none, is the best plant-based products in the world. I've tried them all, like you, and I think we're just getting better at educate. People think, as in the meat business, you eat meat 3 times a day, 7 days. You don't. Yeah. I mean, I can go a whole week without eating meat. Surprise, surprise. I mean, I love nothing better than, just getting some like steamed vegetables and a few things, and just you do. So I think anything in moderation, but certainly the trend, if you like, I don't think it's a trend. It's like organic. Plant-based products are here to stay. I think they're a great alternative for people. And I like the fact I could put my sales hat on. It's great sales.
you got both.
But and not all plant-based product, I'd say, is healthy.
Yeah, no.
So that's another debate.
That's another debate about the amount of numbers that are in some of the plant-based foods.
Yeah. So that's what people need to consider. But some of we're working on some really cool R&D on plant-based, even in our thing with the cell culture meat. I always, what's etched in my mind is Kodak, the famous story about Kodak. Oh, no one ever will go digital. They love the romance of film. Now I go to Rochester, right, in the US, twice a year. One of our great customers, I know you know them, Wegmans, great family,
great
business. As I said, apart from Drake's, the best retailer in the world. And home of Kodak, and, they nearly made the fatal mistake. Now, you've got to understand your systems. Now, I don't think any time soon that everyone's just swapping from plant-based. It is different. It tastes different. And I said there's good and bad, even with some of the cell-cultured meats. Eventually the prices will come down to manufacture. But one of the things I love is the flexitarian approach. And I know my wife with the kids in the early days, she'd make spaghetti bolognese, but they'd have no idea that it's got blended up broccoli and carrot and all the different vegetables. Now, I know blending it a bit does probably maybe take away some of the nutrients, but the flexitarian approach, I think, is really...
Now you're getting really scientific.
Yeah,
blending.
It is.
Oh, if you cook it, it's still, I got a mate that if something's cooked once, he won't eat it again because it breaks it down too much. And I'm fuck off.
But that's what they'll say. But I'm got a healthy respect. I think the plant, it will continue to grow and it'll continue to get better. But my advice is, read the packet. Some of the labelling we got, might be a pain in the ass for us these days, but certainly consumers can get more information about what they're eating than ever. Yeah,
and the Blue Butcher, the Blue Butcher, they ironically have a blue no meatballs.
Yeah.
There's no pun intended with blue balls.
No.
And blue no meatballs. No, that's not.
No. They are. Why I mentioned them is
because they got a cool looking. I've just looked at. They got a cool looking range.
Their owner does the Paris to Dakar rally. It's an amazing company, and I said I go to food fairs all around the world. Have for many years. This is the company. Two things: their product is great, but they live it as well. They do lots of other proteins and red meat and chicken and different things, but it is by far the best product, the best eating experience. They've put a lot of effort, and it's not green, it's blue. They did a lot of research in it, and if you look at the business, it's values, its culture thing. It's a great company first and foremost. But so there are some of the things that
I want
you should see very, very shortly on shelves.
Well, hurry up because I want
Simon Tamke, if you're listening, get onto it.
Yeah, get onto it. What's he doing? Like, God. I want those nuggets too. They got blue nuggets by the looks of
it. Their chicken wings are better than chicken wings. Actually, the nuggets
the nuggets have got to be good.
Well, not to be too hard on the fast food chains. These taste like chicken nuggets. They're actually real. Taste like chicken.
So with plant-based becoming a trend, for me, it has taken on and is growing dramatically, right? So when we see what we're doing in the supermarket, I think we're a good barometer of what's going on out there. And you might have some boutique stuff looking after a smaller range, but when it starts to flow to supermarkets, it starts to get more notoriety, if that's such a word, but it's starting to become more popular once it gets into a supermarket. And not everything works in a supermarket. So we've seen it from the early days, but now, we've had conflicting that we don't want plant-based meat in with the meat case. We want it separated and put it with the plant-based food or the vegetarians or vegan food, which we've started to play around with. And it's clear that the consumer actually likes finding that in that area. But we don't know what is right. Is it right to have a product that looks like meat, but is it meat, plant-based, in a meat case?
Yeah.
Or is it better to just put it on its own? What's your, do you have a personal belief of where you think it should go? Because for us, we're not quite sure, and we're trying both, to be honest.
I think it's, and thinking on my feet here, as a consumer, when I get into a retail, I like that I can go, well, you've seen the advent of organic over the time.
Yep.
Now you get your organic dry goods in a certain area, which is easy because it's convenient. You can't really go and put organic steaks in the dry goods section. Yep. So there's got to be a bit of a hybrid approach. So, being I could get shot down by a lot of, true believers that it's not meat, and, we understand. I mean, my belief, it's not meat, okay?
Yeah, it's not.
It's not meat. So
no,
that's one thing I'm
pretending to be meat. It's just not meat.
No, it's a meat alternative.
Yep.
And for now, until someone comes up with a better description, or that battle's had. But probably for mine, I think, it's like your organic. You have your beef together, and you've got a foot wide organic. I don't have an issue with it. A lot of the plant-based stuff is frozen. The next level going on is looking at when it becomes a lot more of the fresher product. There is fresh plant-based, don't get me wrong, but to the moment, a lot of it's frozen. So naturally, it's going to sit in the frozen bunker, and it can get lost. It's not fish fingers or something like that. So it's an interesting question. I don't personally have an issue with it because, and I'll tell you why, I'm always got my, business hat on. Families today are diverse. When we talk about society being diverse, But in a family, right? My daughter will go at times. She'll go vegetarian. You know, she's right into her rowing, but she'll go through a part where she eats clean. So
how not? Don't give me an exact date. Under 15, over
just
20?
a bit over. Year 11, we'll call it. Right?
Year 11. Yep.
And but she'll eat clean, as she says it, you know. But then she prepares to go and eat all the protein in the world when she's in training. But so when the person, you know, whether it's the husband, wife, individuals going to shop, don't think they're just shopping for red meat. There might be a vegan, a vegetarian
in the family.
Yep. And I'll keep saying the word. One trend and thing I've seen bigger than everything is convenience.
Yep.
People time pour on that. Sounds like a cliche, but convenience. So if I'm a retailer and I've got somebody, you just don't know what that consumer's doing. Are they shopping for a vegan and a vegetarian and a carnivore on the same thing? If I can have all those things within an acceptable space, you're going to make sales. So that's my honest view on it. I'm not hung up that it's not meat and it should be. I think they can be complementary products. As you said, you've changed your eating habits. Totally. So they can be complementary. People talk about meat and wine go together and all that. That's all nice and very nice on that. But, you know, think a bit broader than that.
We're not eating meat.
But, you know, so I think it's sort of staring you there in the face. I think it's a complementary product. I'm certainly not offended that it's, you know, a lot of people call it fake meat. It's not real meat, but.
Well, it's some of the products want to look like meat, and that's where I can see why people go, oh, it's fake meat. So I can understand that. I think for us as a supermarket, we're a supermarket retailer, it's our job to get it to where most people can see it and want to appreciate it. And I'll look into health food where in the early days we'd have whole sections of fresh food. Bloody fresh food. I'm losing my mind here. I have health food.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, someone's starting to say, well, Cocoa Pops, they're actually not good for your kid. And I don't know about you. I bet you were growing up on Cocoa Pops.
I love Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops. Oh, my God. Don't get me started. I used to collect the Cocoa Pop tokens to get T-shirts. And my mum let me walk around with a 1 litre bottle of Hall's lemonade at the age of 4. My God, I would never give my kids that, right? And that's just an education piece, right? So we would have a whole aisle of health food. And now we're starting to blend the health food into the sections because all of a sudden the consumer now is more educated. Not saying that our parents weren't, but, you know, You are learning that, hang on, having bloody 60 grams of sugar in a breakfast, probably not the best thing for a young kid. And no different than we see kids today walk in, they're buying a can of Monster before they go to school. Or, you know,
Chloe, if you're listening to this, stop drinking Monster.
You know what I mean? Like you look at that and you think that does change the way that your brain adapts. And I see young kids and I sit there and I think, fuck, don't I? Sometimes occasionally, hey, boys, your parents know you drink this? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't think they do. But we've changed and now it's blended with the supermarket. Yeah. Right. So you're starting to see like some of the brands like Freedom Foods that have a healthier alternative to cereal. Looks the same, probably tastes the same. The kids don't really care. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's becoming blended in the category. And that's what I see with plant-based. I see it as we need to show it off. You as a business, you say meat, but you're not.
Yeah.
You've got home meal replacements. You've got, make your own meals.
Food businesses.
It's food.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And I look at what you guys do. It's adapt as well. And this is you here that adapts very quickly to things that are going on.
As I said, they're plant-based. It really, I mean, it's been around for a long time, but not in the format as it is today. And it's an opportunity because there's this whole customer base we couldn't sell to before.
Yeah.
You know, that weren't even interested in our business. And it can't be because we're generally interested. We respect and understand that people have, you talk about food. Yeah, it was the Fruit Loops, but it's very different today. What I eat for breakfast is different to what it was back then. And there wasn't a selection.
So correct.
I think, and I said, you really do got to encourage consumers to read what they are having, because it does, sometimes those healthy looking things aren't so healthy either.
Yeah, and that's why people think gluten-free, it's fine. It doesn't matter if it's 50 grams of sugar in one hit or
salt. Salt's the big hidden one.
Sodium, it's the hidden one.
Yeah.
I look at things that we put into the supermarket, and I look at businesses that adapt. So we deal business here with Slafe and Sons.
Yeah.
They do our sausages, well, not all of our sausages, but a big chunk of our business is them. They've then recently gone to plant-based. And it's interesting to see how they've adapted quite quickly. I think theirs is called Plant Nation. I think their brand is. But South Australian company, making
great
changes.
company.
Company. So I've seen what they've done to adapt. And, I'm assuming you go back 5 years, they would have not been thinking they're going to sell a plant-based sausage or a plant-based patty ever. And all of a sudden they have a we got a ghost coming in. We got a ghost coming in. What's the ghost? Mine. Okay.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Gemma.
Thanks, Gemma.
Kind of ghost we like.
Thanks. The kind of ghost we like.
Gemma, the friend
Yeah.
of ghost.
There's no one there.
Yeah, there's no one there. Wow. Look, I got to show this off because
That's nice.
we haven't had this. Is it good?
Yeah, I know who makes it.
Okay, even better. Where's my top?
It's just right there.
Yeah.
I can't. Oh my god. I've only had a little bit. So look at this. I don't know if you can see this, Oliver. This
Well,
thing's.
describe it.
All right, this is called the Cork Pops, and I'm just going to go freestyle. There's a lid on this, like it feels soft, but this thing here, you put it over the top, push it down.
This is amazing. I haven't seen this. I've seen a few.
All right, and then you press this cork and pull it up, right? And
That is incredible.
it pops it straight off, and then what's this? Then you just do that, and it just pulls it off. Oh.
Oh. Fantastic.
You like this?
I like wine. But looking at it's
Look at
amazing.
that. So then it just pops it off. It's unbelievable. I'm impressed. It just pulled it straight through. So what it does, it goes straight through the cork and blows a gas in there which pops the lid
Pops
up.
it out. It's amazing.
Do you have to regas it?
Yeah, you do. But, I got
It's probably got 100. It lasts
No.
the afternoon.
Huh?
I reckon it'd be
Like
like
one
a
of those-
CO2 canister.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
cool.
I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of openers and different things. But I
Yeah.
haven't seen one like that.
Cork
Ones that pop
Pops.
air.
So Cork Pops, if you want to sponsor the show, we'll give one to every guest. Not that I don't think Cork Pops will even guest.
Wow.
Digital team want one too.
Huh?
Digital team want
Yeah, the digital
Yeah,
team want
okay.
mine too. I
Yeah.
reckon
It's
I'm
a good
going
way
to
to
get
get
some
through.
because that's a
Exactly.
cool present. Plant-based.
Next golf.
Okay.
Next golf day.
Okay.
Hey. Here's a big
Hey.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Cork Pops. Oh, you'll get us. I was going to go online and buy one, but
You can just wait. Okay, so let's so we've banged on about plant-based. I mean, I've got a bit of a theory that if Netflix makes a documentary, it seems to make things in the faces of the majority of people. And one of the amazing business models Netflix has is they don't tell you how many people are watching their content.
yeah.
So how the hell that works in this day and age? There's only guesses by the amount of people that vote on Rotten Tomato and whatnot. So
Yeah.
amazing business model, let's face it. Don't need to tell you how many people are watching it. We control it. We can just, they give hints of what's a good performing show.
They're
right?
able to, choose which country, who they're going to release, down to the individual subscriber.
Yeah, down to, and I'm half addicted to stuff on Netflix. So with the Game Changers, which was about vegetarians.
Yeah.
And how you didn't. I can't. I reckon I'm half intellectual. 40 something years old, and I was like, "Fuck! You don't need meat to get all your protein."
Absolutely.
I was like, "Oh shit! Okay, I knew that. Like, I didn't."
Yeah.
But well, you can see why people are going for a bit of plant based.
I'll even dumb it out. Like, I'm a taxi driver, right? Do you reckon I'm never going to catch an Uber? You know what I mean? Like, it's there are things, and a balanced diet, and we've got more information than ever available as a consumer on what we should do. And I'm saying, like, I'm in the meat business, but as we're saying earlier, it's more the food business is what we're doing. And, the plant-based thing, again, coming back from a commercial standpoint, some of the figures I've seen and the growth in that compared to flexitarian. But that's the real area I think you're going to see the
Yeah.
biggest long-term sustainable growth is in that flexitarian. And that can even be broken out from, like you, I think the approach that you've just taken is a great one. I don't need to eat meat even if you're a carnivore, but
Yeah.
I think it's healthy to eat a balanced diet. And that message, to be honest, has been around for a long time.
Well, I mean, let's if we really go back, look at remember the old pyramid.
Yeah. Well, that's what in my mind I was referring to. Yeah.
So, can someone look me up the old school pyramid? So you had the old pyramid back in the day of what we had to eat most of.
Yeah.
What we had to eat the most of. And I look at it now and it's literally been turned upside down, the pyramid. So for what we were saying was the base for when we were going to school and whatnot, it's been turned around. So it's the opposite. So it's interesting how with time changes, the one thing about the human body, it adapts amazingly well. And that's the thing that blows me away is how, and in that doco, the one thing that really blew my mind away is they had the guys eating meat, the football players, and then they pulled the blood from them, and then they did vegetarian for 2 days, and then pulled the blood, and 2 days, which is a very short period of time.
Yeah.
2 days difference, you could see the blood looked totally different from when they had it.
There's and you're touching on another part. We can talk about food, but the old adage, you can't outtrain a bad diet. Okay, so right, we can have this, but there's that exercise. It doesn't have to be running marathons. In fact, you look at some marathoners are unhealthy. I did my one and only, and that's it. But you do need that little bit of exercise. It can be as simple as a walk, and you'll see those similar benefits. They've shown a lot of studies where people just introducing exercise, how they sleep, all those patterns. But and I'm no expert in this area, but inflammation within the body. So having that couple of day break, I mean, I remember growing up with Brussels sprouts, mum boiling them and think, oh my God, I can't stand them, right?
And now you grill them
we love them. My kids love them. Brussels sprouts can't get I mean, we're the Brussels sprout capital in Adelaide Hills. We can't get enough of them. So it's all those things. And I think what's actually happening is everyone's having their Kodak moment. They're actually opening their eyes, being a little bit more liberal. You're always going to have extremes in any field, whether it's food, exercise, left and right. But that balanced diet, I think, is important. And that has been there. And you talk about the food pyramid and a good friend of mine, James Posiadley, ex-footballer, but very passionate about children's nutrition. And that's where it starts. If we can educate, we grew up as Cocoa Pops and Fruit Loops. Now, nothing against that was the time, or your Halls lemonade. Yeah. So we've got the opportunity with all this learnings now. It's important to start early in school. Yep. The STEM approach is important with all the educational side, but educating kids today on eating is and eating well is important.
So I'm looking at a 1980s pyramid.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
The whole bottom of
protein.
Whole bottom of the pyramid is meat. So the interesting one is that a little bit of fruit, nuts at the very top, and vegetables in the middle. Now, this is like a modern day.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Ollie,
and
can you show that on the when you do the video? Because the healthy eating pyramid now it's literally turned upside down.
And you just wonder, I'd challenge people, maybe any of your listeners can come back with, should it be a ball? Should it be a square? Should it be a pyramid? How should it, should it be an octagon, a hexagon? Maybe, JP, we can, tap in and we'll teach the CSIO. We'll do our own. We'll get together and work out the modern day.
We've been talking about blue balls, so why don't we try the balls?
Could be,
Because when you look at it, that is only in a period of 30. That's a 40-year change. So that's 1980s to right now, and it's literally turned upside down. So. I'm fanatical about food, like you said, and I guess what we do. Plant-based we've talked about. other than work, which I'm assuming do you see it as work?
No. See, this is the way I've said this for a long time. Apart from that honest, part about, I'm very much a family person and friends, don't have a lot of them. I think I've got some friends, but you do miss that side of it. But I don't see it. I get up most days, can't wait to get in to the day. I really do. And I'm very fortunate. And we talked about the farmers before, and I'm sure you'd understand this, that the only reason we are where we are today, my father and myself and some of us, is because of our people that work with us, our staff. We have amazing staff. One of the greatest things in my business is I've got this cultural diversity. I've got friends all around the world. I grew up where I remember I never had and I'll just pick an Asian student in my class till year 7. Yeah. I grew up in a thing where we didn't see a lot of ethnic diversity. We had Italians and Greeks, and that was about it. One of the great things about my job, I've got businesses around where I've got friendships, all these different ethnic backgrounds, and it's just amazing. So I wake up and I'm very grateful for all their efforts, and none more so than, as I said before, you can't imagine some of the conversations I've been having with people over the last 3 and 4 months in countries that are decimated by this virus, and people who are genuinely scared. They know someone who maybe's passed away and whatever. So I don't see it as work. I really don't. And that's the greatest gift. And maybe it's what Dad did back in the day when he ran away from school and he had this dream. It wasn't work. It wasn't a pathway to a job. It was a passion. And it just happened to turn out into a livelihood rather than a job. And you spend so much time with your work staff. I mean, you don't all get on. Yep. But you spend an order amount, and
majority of your life.
You do. And it's hard not, okay, there's rules, you can't cross boundaries and that, but it's been great. I've seen employees' children grow up. One of the great things is seeing some of our employees' children come and work in our business. A lot of people, I don't mix work and family. I don't have an issue with that. It's even better when I see children from staff coming in and working. It might just be for work experience. It might just be a thing. I mean, we're a very early adopter back at Murray Bridge of some of the original 457 Chinese workers coming in. That was a very politicized moment. And a lot of people didn't see the benefit. Today, some of those children, right, this is how long ago are born and now at university. So they were born in Murray Bridge and today are in university or schooling, getting up. Now, they're not coming back and working the meatworks. Maybe there are some that came over as young children that have worked with a second generation migrants, no different to the 60s. So, that's some of the things why I don't see it as work. I just, each day, I'm not saying it's smooth sailing, throwing a fire. I tell you, I've seen
we can't wait for Murray Bridge to be back up and running.
Well, that's consuming my life at the moment. That is exciting. That is exciting.
And, to have, I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe in the Southern Hemisphere, one of the best facilities. Am I going too much? So anywhere in the world.
This process, I've been living and breathing this, and we've got a great team. But the last 6 weeks, as we narrow down into there's 36 different individual sort of packages, as we're choosing who's going to be the ultimate builder and so on. We've gone around the world. So each time we're talking to someone, in Ireland the other day, there's no project like this going on anywhere. Not because of COVID.
No, just
anywhere. Now, I know why that is. There's no money in meatworks. You'd be mad to spend. But no, and seriously, there is. And it's something, we're not there to stand on our pedestal. It's an amazing opportunity. And I think I recall 24 hours after the event, once everyone was safe, was that we made a commitment very early. And I know, speaking to yourself and your dad, who were great supporters, and Drake's, when we were in our hardest time that we've ever encountered, the way you stood behind it, because I know plenty of my competitors wanted the Angus Pure program, but it's incumbent upon us, because the community of Murray Bridge and the wider community is another reason why we're here. That was our flagship. That was our first plant. So it's incumbent, but it's exciting, really exciting. For Murray Bridge and the Murraylands region is a great area, and you got double lane highway Well, I mean, not your driving, my driving, 50 minutes, right, from a major capital city.
Yeah, and you're 45 minutes from Victor Harbour or the beaches.
Yep.
You're bloody 15 minutes away from Longhorn and wine district.
Yep.
You're 50 minutes away from Adelaide City.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a crazy and you're 15 minutes away from one of the best racetracks on the planet.
It is, bar none. And,
bar none.
And I'm a bit passionate as the patron of the Murray Bridge Racecourse, and well done to them for sticking it out. And it is. It's you talk to a trainer like we've got some of the great Tony McAvoy or David Hayes or any of the local David Jolly, Richard Jolly, any of the Leon McDonald.
Okay,
these guys are.
I got a feeling you like horse racing.
Everyone's got to have their vice or their little bit of time to the side.
We've talked about it's great beef to eat because I've got the perfect dynamics here. Is this a coincidence that Melbourne Cup winners have come from South Australia?
Well, I'm passionate. So the hills, right? It's all in the soil. You look at an operation like Lindsay Park in the heart of the Barossa Valley, produces some of the world's best wines and has produced some of the best thoroughbreds in the last 50 years. You see it in New Zealand. There's something in the soil. The Adelaide Hills, as I was saying just before, the Adelaide Hills as a cool climate wine region is just going through the roof.
Oh, Pinot, like the Lecco Pinot.
Absolutely. It's
the boys.
You think about that, and probably to my dismay, and a lot of the old horse studs and where some of the best yearlings and best racehorses in Australasian history have been born and bred and sold are now wineries. Shaw and Smith. You look at like Bart Cummings, they were the hills of where many a champion was either born, bred, sold.
That must be hard for you to say. It's either the producing of purebred race horses or the wine. So how do you sit there and balance
a good mate
those?
of mine, Sammy Hayes, and I, we've managed to make them both work together. I can tell you that. But look, you see in Victoria, Jerry Ryan, Mitchelton Winery, there's no better wine than South Australian wine. But down in the southern parts of Victoria, there's great wines. The Hunter Valley, which is the breeding mecca. Yeah. Dare I say it now? It took over the mantle from South Australia as it became internationalised, have their wines, their Semillons. So, it's uncanny without overthinking it. It's one of those own goals or free kicks, like I talked about what South Australia has with our seafood or, some of the pastures and that we have. It's just one of those things that seems to have gone hand in hand.
So it's safe to say it could be in the grass.
It must be in the soil where you see those big gum trees. And
it's not just a coincidence that what's happening
But
there.
I tell you one thing, though, I don't think you're going to see them pulling out vineyards and putting horse studs in their place. I think it's probably more likely the other way around. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we are extremely fortunate. I think I guess you travel. You have a small station, Mount Shank.
Yes.
You got a little station out there. With a lot of sheep.
A lot of sheep, a lot of cattle, a lot of Angus pure.
Do you get to go out there at all? Have your kids been out there?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Everyone's been there. So that's one of the things.
It must be. You feel like
it's really special for Dad and I, as I said, and our family, because that's only been in the Clark, the founding owners, and then another family,
settlers, literally.
Basically settlers, and then you had the Evans family. And then ourselves. So that's something. And as a kid, we've got a couple of nice farms down in the southeast. Even Bill McDonald, had been born on there 80 years. Glen Ross, another property, 70 years. The people have been on there. It is that true custodian sort of feeling. It's just because I went to these farms as a kid. I'd regularly ring Dad. I went out to Bill McDonald's, or I went down to see Tim Clark and bought cattle off. Most amazing. One day, imagine if we could have a farm like this. And Dad being Dad, he put his heart and soul everything. There's not he loves his fishing. A modest boat, bit bigger than a tinny, if you like. I mean, everything that we ever made, and Bob and Simon, not to forget, and went back into the business. Yep. And that's what you have to do. Cool. So been time, and I guess our rural division's grown a little bit with the feedlot, but Mount Shank is something special. And we do make the effort. I got to make them. This is a bit, you were saying earlier about family and making that, and that's what I've got to do. I mean, you have to make it like an appointment. I'm going to go once a week down there. Yeah, it's not a chore.
You're there once a week.
I would like to be there once a week.
Jesus.
No, but with them, honestly.
God, I was like, wow, really?
No, but until we've made a big effort to go down there, and unfortunately, I'm always in a time where we race around. But every now and then, with Dad and I will drive down there. You say it's a 4.5 hour drive, and you stay down there, cook a steak, and we take many of our customers. It's a place to showcase Australia, South Australia, and
sounds special.
Yeah, no, we get to be what we really, we run businesses and you can be in all sorts of situations, but you actually get back to be at the core of what you really are and what you love.
Yeah, my happy place is Murray Bridge. We've got a shack
on the river there.
Yeah, and so many good times have been had there in my life, and I can see my kids doing that now, albeit we don't get up there as enough, but we still, we're up there quite often. Every time you're there, it's like, fuck, I love this place.
You do. You get that, and then I get the balance also. I love surfing. I've surfed since I was a kid, so getting down, again, this accessibility in South Australia, down to Port Edith, you're 50 minutes. And you're down there, and now I was actually asked a couple of years ago, what's your greatest achievement? What's the best moment? And this particular reporter was looking for when we bought this, did that, or whatever. I said, actually, we're up at having a family holiday, and for the first time, my 3 kids, all 3 of them, Ned, going from youngest, Ned, Chloe, and Jack, all got out the back surfing. So there was the 4 of us sitting
Which is
out
a challenge
there.
in itself.
It is. And I thought, how cool is this? You're sitting here with your 3 children. Michelle's not much of a surfer, but
she was out there.
But that's an achievement, and that's the thing. So you talk about your happy places, being on the farms, being in the water, are the things that that I love and cherish amongst a pretty busy life.
It's an understatement how busy your life is. Crows.
Next subject.
Fucking hell! What the fuck is happening? I don't know if it's COVID. Like, I was a fanatical supporter, and then I was realizing it was ruining my weekends. And I quit. So I quit actually barracking, and just now I like punting on the multi bets, like just totally random, and having a bit of fun. And then I've realized I haven't watched a quarter of football this year, but I'm a Crows fan, so thank God I haven't watched a Crows game, but. I just haven't. And I'm like, what? Why is it?
Footy was a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And I'll get to the Crows in a second.
Well, hang on. You used to play football.
Yeah, but I've got a probably slightly more boring subject. It actually really was. Growing up, football, Crow Store, Johnny Reid never played. He was my coach at South Australia in the early days, and the guys like Phil Carman. But a lot of the way I've run my business and seen in business, it's learnings out of football. I'll give you an example. Everyone thinks in a football environment, you're all best mates. The fact is, you probably only like 2 or 3 of them, really. There's probably half a dozen of them you really don't even like. You might not even like your coach, right? So that's taught me to be a bit adaptable in work, whilst we're there are people you got to manage. But football created an environment and a commitment and a respect. So you might not necessarily be your best friend, but you've got to respect you're in an environment that, it's incumbent upon you. You've got to be tolerant. You're working to a plan, a commitment. And that I had a team upbringing from a very, very early age. With the Crows, what I'd say to the supporters is put yourself in their shoes. That now more than ever, not the players are pretty well looked after. The club needs the supporters more than ever now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a pain, man. You're entitled, just a bit like we're talking about vegans, vegetarians, carnivores. You're entitled to your opinion. But in my way, and I played all my junior footy and footy at South, and I went to Sturt. I was a Sturt barrack all my life. My first year, we never won a game. I'm thinking to myself, I've just gone from hardly losing a game to never winning a game. What have I done? It was anything but that. I felt I was actually at the start of the rebuilding. A guy like Phil Carman, right? He knocked the college boy out of Sturt. He was up there at the age of 42 when we're doing the bit different training. We'd be doing 4K time trials, not bloody 2K time
2K
trial,
times
Slaney,
a day, hey?
right? You know, we had to do it the hard way, double and run as hard, but he knocked the thing out and as part of development. So where the club is at the moment is a great opportunity. There's got to be change, right? Let's not get into all the detail. I hope there's better people qualified than me, but now.
Are you on the board? No.
No.
She's talking like you are talking.
No, look,
you are very passionate.
I used to barrack for Carlton, and then when West Coast came in, so I'm really a West Coast supporter, if truth be known. But I do. I like to see both Adelaide teams do, but the Crows do intrigue me in terms of where they're at, and they've got a great opportunity to rebuild here, but they need to. I think they need to recognise there needs to be a bit more change. Yep. And but what we can do is just the couch sitters is try and support them. Yeah, we've all had our opinions now. Like what more are we going to get it? Let's vent. Okay, it's no good. I mean, they're 0-5, right? You can yell and scream all you like, and I guess as a member, so you're entitled to that. But I think that the opportunity there is it is a good club, and the players, don't get me wrong, they're aware of what they need to do. They are very well drilled, and I look at other clubs. I mean, there's some clubs without mentioning in Victoria that have been languishing for over a decade. I mean, this is the first real challenge the Crows have had for a while. Let's give them a bit of time and see where we are in 3 years' time.
So, talking about football, there's a possibility there's no grand final at the MCG.
Yeah, well,
like Victoria, come on. So there is a possibility that there's going to be no grand final in Victoria. I think that could be a fair assumption.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, they could, Adelaide would probably let them have a full stadium, but when you look at what's happened with the COVID and watching football with no crowd, and as a football player, I'm assuming that crowds creates another.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't. I drive a car, and you can see people in the crowd, and you can actually see people watching, and it's a bit of a buzz when we go to tracks and there's more people. As a football player, I'm assuming that happens high. For a egotistical football player, and I'm not saying they all are.
No.
But there is definitely.
There are some, but there's a lot that aren't.
So would that mean to them, how do you sort of aspire to be that? Is it going to change the way things are done or not? Or is it just my imagination?
No, this is a year that there is no right or wrong one, and we should be very careful in passing judgment on anything. So it is their job. Let's take the football, the glitz and glamour out of it. It's their job.
Yep.
And I know a few of them, and listening to them, they've got young children. They might have expecting baby, all these different things, and they're asked to make decisions that can impact their family. So I think to myself, what would I do? Okay, in my vocation or my business, what would I do? I mean, it's just, we're a bit unfair. We expect them to get out there and play footy. I mean, of course they want to get out there and play football, but they've also got considerations, and we're dealing with without the, dramatising a pandemic, and okay, it's good for society to see our national game being played and
without
all these
things.
But it's also good for society to be able to go down and have a beer at the pub, or
without a doubt,
or a meal at your local cafe, or a coffee or a latte, whatever you like. So I think at the moment it's tough on these players. Yes, I know they want to play, but I reckon you'd get a really wide response about people. I was listening to Jack Rewalt and some of the decisions, and look what's happened in Victoria. I certainly, I don't subscribe to. It's very unfortunate. It's not a blame game.
Could have been anyway.
But these people are all of a sudden, these players, and a lot of them are younger people. I said, you've got to get it, pack everything, you're out of here. Now, I mean, I'm probably sitting in the camp of, was it? And it's easy for me to say because it's not my employment, but there's plenty of people that aren't working at the moment. Think of thousands of people in the airline industry and whatnot, which I know most of them because I travel that much.
Well, you're talking tens of that. We're talking
exactly. So, if we had a pause for footy for a year, or rugby, or basketball, would it be detrimental? I mean, there've been some leagues that have had to. I don't know. Like it's difficult. It's getting to the stage now. If this thing evolves a little bit more, is it important that whether the grand finals at MCG, South Australia, WA, is it important to have a grand final? Is football that important that we've got to put people under the pressure because we like to watch or ridicule or barrack or whatever. I mean, you've got to remember these players, I think it's become very real for them now. What happened early in March, no one really knew what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
It was easy. We want to get back and play as soon as possible. But
I think it is because I think that's their job.
Absolutely. So
Right.
are they any different? So that was my point. Are they any different to frontline worker?
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not. And they are. They're earning a lot more money than a frontline worker.
That's a very interesting point.
And if they were earning 50 grand, 60 grand a year, no problem. But yeah, I look at it. F1. They had their first race last week, and you know they're doing the mask thing. So I'm finding it extremely frustrating. So they're doing an interview like this, but there's no one within 5 meters of them.
Yeah.
I just hit that camera. So there's no one within 5 meters of them. And it's a different sport. But, you know, people forget, there's the driver, but there's probably 100 people that are involved with getting that driver to do the fastest possible lap. And you look at it and you think, okay, the team sports, it's a bit different because that's very close contact, lots of sweating, lots of heavy breathing. Yeah, it's interesting. It's been our game forever.
But it's all sport, and again, I think it's one of these things that it's not about we should, you know, we've got to be very careful in whether F1, football, frontline workers. There is no roadmap for this. There is no perfect way, and I think we just got to be very careful in understanding what might be right for some. There's some people that, you know, you think of some of these frontline workers that are in there. I mean, there's people flocking to help, and then there's some people that feel really uncomfortable about it. So
we've seen that in our own business.
Yeah, I mean, I think so have we. You know, in our office, people in the early days, we held a daily COVID meeting, you know, reassuring people. Now, my point is it that important we have a grand final, or we provide some work for people, or entertainment? I think that's the biggest. But whether we get to the GF or not,
I think it's important. I mean, like anything,
you've got to have a goal.
Yeah, but in business, it's not. Oh man, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. In business, we don't have goals that your whole career determines on every year.
True, absolutely.
And I think as athletes, they do.
Yeah.
Whether
there's grand finals, there's finals,
Olympics,
exactly,
like World Championship, like they do. So it's a different program. Moving on, because I can't believe how much football. I actually can't believe it. And
you're not alone on that.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what reason. I'm not sure. I get insights around the world. You've seen a lot of what we do here in Australia.
Yeah.
What is one thing that is happening anywhere in the world? Could be Japan, could be Saudi. I mean, you export to 85 countries around the world. That must cover a lot of them.
Most of them.
Do you do anything to Antarctica?
No. But, well, I guess I've got to talk to food service guys. We might do some dehydrated.
So is there anything that someone is doing? And you deal with wagons, so there might be something there. But is there anything something's happening around the world in any other country that's not happening here in South Australia? Australia, sorry.
Yeah, it's multifaceted. I think, and this is sort of very close to us. I think in our space, New Zealand has led the way in a lot of the food processing technology. I'm talking 20 years ago. Their government made like they did a bit with film, and they made a concerted effort to say, hey. And a lot of our manufacturing equipment, yes, it's done in Europe and all that, but the quality stuff is done out of New Zealand. So I think in that space,
no luxury car tax in New Zealand as well.
I'm not really a car person. I like horsepower, but you look at the way various countries are adapting to, you know. Korea years ago was, I won't say e-commerce, but delivery. So Korea many, many years ago started with what I think is probably the Uber Eats, you know, the home delivery, or the things that they started, that technology. So you look at
platform, that's all it is.
That's the thing. So that's what I'd like to see Australia being our biggest challenge. And one of your competitors that never came They can't work out what you can work out, right? They ran away, Kaufland, because of the logistical challenge. Australia's a challenge, so we're that challenger brand. We're never bigger, but got to be smarter, right?
Yep.
So one of the things I'd like to see, and again, I don't like to, if I'm not prepared to put my hand up there and get there and do it or help, I'm resident to necessarily cast negativity, but the NBN, by the time we finish it's redundant sort of thing. So I'd like to see the platform. I'm not just saying put your hand up, it's 5G, but let's put an effort into how we can best bridge that gap we've got of a lot of people in one part of the country, a very big country, through some sort of platform, whether it's the
WeChat.
Technology. Well, who knows what it is? I mean, you can do anything on WeChat in China.
Anything.
I use it the whole time.
You have to. I'm assuming you have to.
Yeah, everything. We transact business deals, WeChat. It's amazing. So maybe that's some of the things. We've still got that big challenge of, how do I get my Angus Pure to Queensland?
Yeah.
Same
country, so close. I'm getting told to wrap this up, but I don't want to. But we know you got to be somewhere.
They can wait.
I
won't be long. No, that's fine.
Good. That's good because I've got a couple of questions I ask everyone, and these are the last ones. But this one I don't ask everyone. What do you think has been the worst business decision that you've made? And why are you thinking about that?
I got to think it because there's been a few.
If something comes to mind as the best, and it might not be you, it might be you and your team, because I get most decisions aren't coming from your head, they're coming from a group. So is there something that comes to mind?
Look, the worst one is, and it is sometimes just delving or jumping into things you really don't understand. Okay, now
you don't strike me as being impulsive.
No, well, every time I've been impulsive, or probably my number one is this word called assume. Every time I've assumed something in business, it comes back to bite me. Right, and that's not mean you've got to microanalyze or anything, but assuming is very, very dangerous. If you're going to assume, you must have world's best practice behind you, because it will come back and bite you. So I don't assume. I make sure I do a level of listening, research, understanding. Assuming is a very dangerous thing.
Well, you haven't given me an example, but I'll let you go on.
Well,
my one of my early bosses, Wayne Mitchell, he goes assume. And he writes assume down A-U-S-S-U-M-E, right? And he breaks it up and he goes, it makes an ass out of you and me.
Well, there you go.
And I was like,
I'm gonna claim that, because
no shit, because it was actually right, because I said, I just assumed I knew it. Do it, and he wrote it down, ass, you and me, and I was like, fuck, he's so right. Yeah. And this was 25 years ago.
Yeah. So
I still remember.
I could give you multiple examples where I've assumed things. It might be, it'll be right. I'll assume I'll get back to that farmer in a couple of days. I'm way too busy to return the call. Yeah. Meanwhile, stock's gone. Missed the opportunity. And that's some of the things. I mean, I've made plenty of things, assuming I understand how someone else is feeling, assuming that they are very clear in the direction I've given them. It's just taking that time. And we did a great thing leading teams a few years ago, and coming out of a football environment where you're used to some very direct feedback. We went through a whole process in our business, not only here, but throughout the world, about, having some honest conversations. And Daniel Healy from Leading Teams came in. It was fantastic. For me, it wasn't as overbearing because I was used to it, but the feedback I got was pretty confronting, and some of it, but to actually honestly hear what people think. And again, you assume, on board, I've said this is what we're going, but their interpretation of what you think may be very, very different. So you've got to take the blinkers off and take a step back, or think about, technology back 20, 25 years ago. You didn't have text, right?
Correct.
Text, email, these things. I mean, all right, you might have ADD like me, JP, but, the thing is that someone might not actually, just because they got a phone, they're not going to email you back in 5 seconds just because you've asked a question on email. So there's lots of things.
My wife.
Do they answer phones?
No. It's not just me.
Sorry, Michelle.
Yeah, sorry, Nat. Okay, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing? And that could be absolutely anything. I said I'd be an F1 driver.
Yeah, well, I'd still be trying to make the pro surfing tour, but probably, to be honest, that would have been pretty easy that I wouldn't have made it. Train racehorses.
Yeah.
Love it.
You love it.
I love it. I love because they can't talk. There's an element, and I've been fortunate to watch some amazing trainers over the years about that interpretation. And what makes the great trainers from the good is that interpretation of an animal. Oh, it's a bit off, or that, or how they're all individuals. Yeah, they see things. So, I mean, if you looked at me here, I couldn't be a jockey, so that was pretty an easy one. But yeah, I'd love that challenge of classified by. Yeah, maybe I was a closet like theatre. I mean, when I was at school, it was never cool to be in the school play. I would have actually wish I had gone out on a limb and been part of something like that.
In our school play, I was a snowman.
Yeah, I'd even bother going for.
My mum's got photos of me dressed up in this snowman outfit, and I did say a thing. I was like, you know what? I was no all off. So yeah, and just for record, I hope you do learn that because your tips are shit.
Wow, that's someone else's. Someone else's. No good. I don't have time to do the form.
So looking into the horse's nose, nostrils, and whatnot. There's a talent for it.
You see their action. Yeah, their eye. You do. You see it in their eye. You'll see it. Their action eye. There's all these things.
Yeah. So if you could go. So you're a certain age now. You're not 50. I'll say that much.
Well away from that.
Yeah, well away. If you could go back 25 years and have a conversation with DT, what piece of advice could you give DT, when you're like 20 years old or just starting up in your career? What piece of advice do you think you know now that you go, fuck, I wish I'd told myself that then?
Number one is, I'll probably try and overdo it now, but just listen more. Just listen. Listen, hear the message. I mean, you talk about your first boss. My dad was very, get out there and very independent. My first boss, Bob Rowe, they don't come any tougher. But sometimes I got caught up in the delivery more than the message. And it's something I look back on. So just to listen and again, coming out of a football environment, you were sort of used to pretty direct feedback. Yeah. I mean, a coach, you have a guy like Phil Carman as your coach, you know where you stand. Don't get me wrong, right? So, and that leaves an impression on you. Same Johnny Reid. Like Johnny was a passionate, but he was, you knew where you stood. So those things actually leave, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. They leave an impression on you. So you become a little bit, but just to listen more. If you're talking purely, listen. And there's the old adage, you can't put an old head on a young shoulders.
Yeah, it's true, huh?
But just listen. There's things I could have definitely listened better, whether it be any different or took that advice. I don't know. But listen. Yeah.
If there was one thing that you could do that would have an impact on the world, what would that be? Like one thing, and you're doing a lot of things out there. You're in 85 different countries across the globe. You're very heavy here in Australia.
I think I truly believe we do it. We're feeding people. I'm involved in a lot of charitable work when it comes back to just helping people. So when I'm lying in bed at night and you sometimes get lost, you've got so much going on and you come back and Michelle thinks I'm a very strange person at the best of times. But what's your really purpose? When you've achieved a lot of things and you how long it's just helping. It's incumbent for whatever reason in my life. We employ a lot of people. We feed a lot of people. I take great satisfaction and pride that we're helping people and that's what drives me. So it's not a single thing. I can't go and change climate change. I can't go and stop a virus, but I have the ability and the position that I've been afforded today and over the years to help people. And that can be, as I said, sitting down and listening, when you have a large workforce, you have people that go through many, many different challenges in their life. You have sicknesses, illnesses. You have people in your family have terminal illness. It's a bit like the horse trainer. I can see in my staff that sometimes things are not right.
Yeah.
And it might not be them. It might be at home they got an issue. So one of the great things I do is I believe I can, it's not like in the charitable sense, but you can actually help people
and give back.
And give back. That's it. Because as I said earlier, the reason I'm here or we're here is because of all the wonderful work that helped us, particularly in the early days.
Yeah. There's a show on SBS, Filthy Rich and Homeless.
I'm not quite homeless.
No. But it puts people into examples that really opens your eyes about how tough it is for people who are homeless. And I've watched that show thinking, fuck, this is brutal. And it makes you stop and think about when you're walking past someone asking you for something. And it's like, I look at that show and it really hits home because, you know, we work hard and we're fortunate, very fortunate, extremely fortunate.
Yeah.
And when you have someone come up and ask you for something,
you know,
this show sort of breaks down the psychology of like someone actually having to ask you for $1. It's like,
so
brutal.
if we put politics aside, you know, there's a lot of people have an opinion on America at the moment, right? Now, I've lived the better part, nearly half my life there. Yeah. Seriously, back and forth. I have friends and things. So everyone thinks Americans and Australians, because there's the alliance and that we're all the same. We're not. We speak English. That's where it starts and stops. I can tell you about factory workers that work with us that they'll sit around. The philanthropy, right, that they have, or it's ingrained in the ordinary American. So they'll have a family meeting about giving $50 US to a charity. They'll sit down and that's their thing. You know, in Australia, as you said, in Australia, we haven't quite got there yet. There we do some great things in helping, but it's ingrained in. So for some of the shortcomings people might disperse on what American people like, there's a lot of good there as well. And that's one of the things in Australia. I think we can do more. We are, you know, to coin a phrase, the lucky country. We can do more than what we're doing today. Yeah.
Last question. This gets you to whatever boring meeting you're going to have next. It won't be as exciting as...
Won't be long.
It won't be as exciting as now, but this one stumps a few people, so I'll give you some time to think about it. If you died, heaven forbid we don't want that, and came back as a board game, what board game would you come back with? While you have time to think, I'll tell you. Do you want to hear what mine is?
Yeah, it might give me a bit of a...
so I'll give you a bit of time. So we've had a whole lot. We've had Hungry Hippo. We've had a game called Risk. I think we've had Trivial Pursuit. Mine was like Scrabble. So, and the reason for being that is that, like, you know, I deliver some cool things that and words that actually make a lot of sense and get a lot of points, and I also deliver some words that maybe don't, and you don't quite know what you're going to get next by each and every one in Scrabble. So that's mine, and we've had everything. I mean, you might not play board games, you might find this extremely hard.
No, you know, it's funny when you said that. I immediately, for someone who wanted to be in theatre, I froze and it came to me straight away. Mine's Snakes and Ladders. Right? And not from a bad connotation.
No, it's not. Snakes and Ladders isn't bad.
Because my life has been full of ups and downs. And, you know, whether it's through mum and dad and getting through life and him working hard and they worked hard and we got an education, my sister and I, it was all about us. So you could say we got the jump, right? We're ahead and ladder after ladder and seriously, there's only 2 lines to go before the top. And then I lost my sister, you know, in a car accident. And that was like the ladder, the longest ladder on the board. And sometimes if it was that ladder, we still haven't got to the bottom of it.
Well, that's your snake.
You know, and the snake, sorry. And you just, and then there's been some good times and you're constantly reminded of that. And so all the successes and great things that we had, you have challenges in life. And I guess one of the things I've tried to do is learn from those things. And, you know, going back to your earlier question about listening, just try and learn from mistakes. But that's been my board game. It's been Snakes and Ladders, ups and downs, but getting to the finish. Now, I hope the finish isn't death, because if that's the case, I'm still a long way to go yet.
Well, that's not the finish on Snakes and Ladders, is it?
No,
that's not death, is it?
No, well, it's just what came to me, and that's what life's been like for us. There has been along the way, as good as it might look to some, there's lots of challenges along the way, and it's how you regain yourself, your composure, and look for the next ladder, whether it's the crows, whether it's work, whether it's your personal family life.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing that is, because just when you think everything's perfect, there'll be something, you'll hit one of those snakes.
That's awesome, man. And like, thanks very much for your time today. I believe this is probably the longest podcast we've had, and I know you can definitely.
It's been fantastic.
We've only like
Scratch the
touched on a
surface.
few things. I really do appreciate you making the time. I might add, you've been the hardest person to wrangle to get here because of how busy you are. But thank God it's COVID.
If I ever get another invite, I'll be here. It's been fantastic, and
we've really enjoyed it. Thanks to everything you do for putting food on tables. I'd hate, have you thought of how many meals you put on a table? Have you got a number in that?
It wouldn't have a number, but as I said, it's just an honour. Like it's a privilege. That's it. But there could, like thousands. I could tell you if I rang Jack, he could tell you how many meals have gone out. But it is. I mean, when you process a lot of animals, it's a lot of meals.
Yeah,
it's a lot of meals. But it's we take food for granted. There's plenty of places in the world that don't have that.
Yeah.
So
I'm extremely lucky to be here and here in Australia. So thank you very much for coming on
you.
for podcast number 13. Thank you.
Excellent.